other thing that's happening at the end of the year in December.
The
episode
movie.
9.
Yeah, the movie.
The Rise of Skywalker. People still buzzing about the trailer. And a lot of people are buzzing about our reaction to a particular reaction video that we took a look at last week. And it was a young man named Eric Butts on YouTube reacting, or as I said, overreacting to the Rise of Skywalker trailer. As a matter of fact, we got a little clip of Eric in action.
Oh. What?
Cue. Yeah. Clip 1, Eric Butts.
Oh, I was waiting for
Rise of Skywalker.
I'm so into this. You know what? This is the problem, guys. As soon as Rebel Force Radio switched to doing some video, I'm so in the video mindset. You said, we got a clip. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I don't have a clip. Of course I have a clip. Of course I have a clip right here. Oh my God! Oh my God!
Ooh, it sound like you almost coughed something up there.
I know. The emotions were just literally to the surface of the back of the throat, apparently.
So over the top, so much so that it even caught the attention of Howard Stern. And Howard also piled on with his reaction to the reaction video.
The final trailer for the new Star Wars movie, Rise of Skywalker, just came out. So, of course, every YouTube nerd posted a reaction video to it. And they all want to one-up each other. So
so they've got to have a big reaction, right?
Yeah. But out of all the ones I watched, and I watched about a dozen of them, I think this guy, Eric, from the Eric Butts YouTube channel. I don't know if that's his real name.
Eric Butts?
Butts. He had the most intense reaction to the new Star Wars trailer that I've ever seen. Because the dude starts crying. I mean, he was in ecstasy. At times he couldn't even speak.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. I can't believe it. It's happening, man. I don't want the saga to end.
When I got laid the first time,
it didn't sound like that.
It didn't sound as good as that.
Well, that puts it in context, right? A little bit, at least as far as Howard Stern is concerned.
Yeah. And in their conversation, Howard and Robin, they also discuss the thing that really weighs on me when I watch these videos is the legitimacy of these reactions. I think it's overdone. I think it's amplified. I think it's over dramatic for a purpose to get clicks. I think it's smoke and mirrors. I think it's a little bit of an act. And that's what we talked about last week on the show. And we talked specifically about Eric Butts. And to provide a counterpoint, let's bring on our mystery guest right now. Here he is from, where are you from, Eric Butts?
Lexington, Kentucky. Hello, gentlemen.
There he is, the man himself.
There he is.
I'm a little bummed no costumes this time. Though.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? It's not Halloween. Now, Jimmy let me get away with it the day after Halloween, but a week after Halloween, I think I would have been in big trouble. But Eric, welcome to Rebel Force Radio. It's great to have you, and we're glad that you're here to talk about what this this whole thing, and like we said, point counterpoint. I mean, Jimmy Mack said that reaction videos where the subject knows that they're being recorded, and in this case, you're setting yourself up. It wasn't like your wife popped in there and caught you, watching the trailer, surprised you. This was, we could say, premeditated. So he's saying that the reactions are they real? So you tell us, was that real?
Well, obviously, I can't speak for everybody, and people are going to believe what they want to believe. But yeah, I mean, there's always going to be at least that little bit of, any video I do, because some days I'm just not in a great mood or whatever, but I'm about bringing energy and everything. So there's always just at least a little bit of that with me. But I do strive to be as authentic as I can. And actually, my fiance is sitting here, so she could vouch if you need to. But no, I mean, that's how I actually.
No, get in here! Come on! Wait! That was just a tease. That was just her arm. Did she not put her face on?
So that's just not. You can put your face on if you'd like.
I noticed that you all love the color green there in your house. It's
yeah, this is our live stream studio, so I had everything set up, and that's Mary.
Hi.
But yeah, we were in here filming some game stuff for later on my channel. Yeah. But yeah, so like for me, it's really not a put on, because honestly, even we saw Terminator Dark Fate the other night, and we saw it in IMAX, and they played a Star Wars trailer there. And they actually played the D23 trailer that had like all the original trilogy footage on the IMAX screen. Oh, wow. And I mean, no, I lost it. Now, again, when I'm in the theater, I'm much, much quieter because I'm a stickler for that. Like, I go to the theater a lot. I'm sitting still. I rarely have snacks. I'm watching the movie. My phone stays in my pocket the whole time, the whole deal.
So it was quiet, ugly crying. Is that what was going on?
Yeah, and if we had been in like an older school theater where it's like you're packed in like the sardines, then somebody beside me might notice that I'm kind of shaking.
Well, see, now I'm thinking. I mean, your video got such play. I mean, everyone from Howard Stern, to Rebel Force Radio and everything in between was talking about it. That's got to be wild for you to be sitting in a movie theater when the trailers come on. They're going to see you and they're going to be like, "Oh my God, there's that guy!" Get the Kleenex out.
That much. I mean, but again, I mean, I do cry at movies and everything because I don't watch movies, I experience them, is what I like to say. And I'm even trained. I'm trained. I can tell when things are going to get loud. So if I have to blow my nose, I wait till it's loud. Like I really don't want to interrupt anybody else's experience, and then I get pretty upset when other people interrupt mine. But yeah, no. And again, like for me, that is real. And there's just something about Star Wars. Like it is a direct line into my childhood. Like there's something magical about experiencing that again. And right now, basically getting to do that once or twice a year, with all the trailers that come out. So, yeah. And then the other ride's been super crazy, especially because this time around is actually the second time, like lightning struck twice.
Right. You did it before.
Yeah.
With the first
and that went viral in a totally different, crazy way in its own right.
Really? How's that? Because I did not understand that you have such a prolific catalog of reaction videos. And I just discovered today that you did a reaction video to that first trailer that debuted at Star Wars Celebration. And you had the same amount, well, not quite as much actually, but you did have a significant emotional reaction to it. So that's kind of your thing, Where were you? You were in a hotel room or somewhere when you did that first one?
Yeah, we were down in Cancun at a Secrets Resort for our birthday. We both turned 40 this year, so that's where we were. And so literally we had like a room that is on the beach with a private pool and our own gate, and you could get to the ocean in like 2 minutes walk. So, I was in paradise. We'd been there all week, unlimited drinks, food, just a fantastic time.
We're going to get back to the drinks later because the drinks are critical in this conversation, I think.
Right. That does
maybe not as much as you think, but they do play in on occasion.
So Eric, are you were intoxicated when you did both the videos, for the Force or the Rise of Skywalker?
Well, I was going to say a little buzzed because I drink frequently and enough. And again, that was earlier in the day, So, like we had,
Are you hammered right now?
No, that comes later. There will be some vodka and probably some wine for me later.
I tell you what, man, I like this guy. I really do.
And then, the last trailer, because it was on Monday Night Football, and I've always been a college basketball guy because I'm in Lexington, Kentucky, so, UK Wildcats, it's in the blood. But I've recently started getting into football. Like, I kind of dig it. I'm enjoying watching the game. So I was really actually enjoying trying to watch that game, but, it was just a boring game because I think it was the Patriots or the Cowboys, whoever was dominating. So I had hot wings and some beer, but, before I got to that reaction. But you can go back to my Rogue One reactions, my Last Jedi reactions. I was sober in those, and I'm pretty much just as emotional in those.
Is it easier to cry after you've had some hot wings? Doesn't that kind of get up into your sinuses a little bit and maybe tickle those tear ducts?
It's probably at least got them open and going, so I'm sure that adds to it as well. And usually I tell people about that, but because, and this is one thing where maybe I did change a little bit for that reaction, is I realized this is the last big Saga trailer, and in some of the earlier ones, if you watch, I'll tell you that what I've had to drink, and I'll even curse and all this, and I was doing my best just to not do that this time, especially because I knew the Star Wars show was going to feature some reactions, so I was like, I really want to get in there, so don't curse, don't curse, don't curse.
Did you get on the Star Wars show?
No, I did not, but some friends of mine did, and now I'm friends with Mar, who did the whole Mar Wars thing on Twitter. I don't know if you're familiar with that, and I got to see her be on there, which was really sweet. So, so I was a little bit bummed, but again, I saw this other guy who I did a podcast for last week, who actually I ran into. He recognized me in a restaurant he was working at. So,
is that right?
Which is, yeah, and it doesn't happen that much, but that is a weird thing when it does happen, because you have that moment of, is this person happy to see me, or is this one of those people that claim they want to punch me in the face or something, So
first of all, okay, now that's to me that's so insane. I mean, we had a fun debate about it, and the thing that I have been wrestling with is the fact that for so long, Star Wars we weren't like the Trekkers, we weren't like the Trekkies, we weren't the punchline of nerd jokes. I mean, everybody loved Star Wars. It didn't matter whether you were, in the AV club or on the football team. It didn't matter. Everybody loved Star Wars. And now it seems to be, it's sort of eclipsed Star Trek in terms of the public consciousness and the impact of a fandom on a particular franchise or what have you. So now there's such a microscope on Star Wars fans. You get on there and you shed some tears, and they go, look at these people. They're lunatics, right? Although they could probably play some videos of Jimmy Mack and myself in the, at some point and say, look at these two beauties. So, he without sin cast the first stone. But nonetheless, the point being,
but Eric, your behavior is just like, it's repulsive, and for that to be representative of all Star Wars fans,
which is not my fault. I never tried to be the representation of Star Wars fans.
No, of course not. And you know what? We can't lay that at his feet, because people try to do that to us sometimes, and it's never pretty. So, but for years and years, I think Star Wars fans were thought of as people who dress up. Cosplay was really the identifying thing about a Star Wars fan. And I've never, have you ever dressed up as a character?
Yeah. I when I was younger, I was trying to do a little acting and stuff, but it wasn't really my jam. I'm more behind the scenes camera guy. Like I like comedic acting. So I kind of burnt out on dressing up. So for the longest time, I didn't, even for Halloween, it's like, no, I'm a horror guy. I watch horror movies all the time, blah, blah. Point being, once I met Mary, she's, she comes from the theater world. She still loves dressing up, and every Halloween now we do dress up. And so I guess a couple years ago, was it 2016, we actually did dress. She was Rey and I was Kylo. So that was pretty cool. And this was long before I knew about the whole Reylo thing, So I was like, I need to show people now, because I think they'll appreciate that.
Well, I want to get into your fandom here in just a few minutes, because that's really what interests me and the folks listening to this show. But you did just say that you've done some acting, and that and I can tell. Look, from one ham to another, I can tell that you're no stranger to maybe attention or enjoying attention. Again,
you like to entertain.
You like to entertain.
You're an entertainer.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So how much of your reaction videos, and the only ones that we can really point to are the Star Wars ones that we've seen, how much of those are the heart and soul of Eric Butts, and how much of them are there, I would really like to get this out there and noticed, and maybe be on the Star Wars show?
Well, I mean, I definitely don't amp it up for that reason. Now, when it was Star Wars, those trailers, I am a little more amped in, just because I know they're coming, and I will spend, like the last two, I spend time just getting in the zone while I'm waiting on it. before the last one, I started rewatching all the trailers from the prequels on up and everything. And there even came a moment when we got into some of the newer stuff that I already started getting a little emotional. I was like, oh, I don't, it's taking me too far, so let's turn that off. You know, or like the one I did on vacation as I was setting up all the cameras and everything, I put on a bunch of John Williams in the background and just start thinking of all my favorite Star Wars stuff. So they really are like the event trailers to me. So they do get, I am more prepared for them, say, as like you say, because I put out a trailer reaction every day, nonstop. And sometimes a lot of times.
This is your thing. And I think that is so critical for people to understand. It's not as though you were plucked out of, you know, just complete obscurity and thrust. Right. I mean, this is your thing. And reaction videos, you're a YouTuber. You put yourself out there. You're not, I guess the thing that I'm trying to get people to understand is you're not the Star Wars kid from 15 years ago or 20 years ago. Right.
Although I don't have a problem if people want to think of me that way. I'm like, sure, I would embrace it, you know, but no. I mean,
you're not a guy
I'm about movies, cinema in general.
Yes.
Star Wars just happens to be very special because it's one of the things that sent me down that path. So.
Yeah, but the point being is that this, I don't think the Star Wars kid ever intended for that video to get out. That was part of it. You're putting yourself out there like we're putting ourselves out there. On a regular basis. But let's talk a little bit about Eric, the Star Wars. Well, actually, I have a question. Is Mary still there?
Yeah,
your
she's just playing a game on an iPad.
I have a question. If you get that emotional at a Star Wars trailer, what was it like when you asked Mary to be your wife?
Actually,
I mean, were you a puddle with eyeglasses laying there on the floor?
No, because I mean, it's again different emotions for different things. Because the thing with the Star Wars is that it is that magical transformation back to my childhood. Like I've said it in one of the trailers, like I felt like I was 8 years old again, and like there's just something magical about being able to tap back into that part of life where there was no cynicism. There was no, crushing responsibilities of the world. It's like,
so it takes you back to a time when you didn't have, some of the trappings maybe of adulthood, right? It strips you down to the core, and all of a sudden you're that 8-year-old kid again, which we've heard a lot of people talk about it. And, in some cases you're the 8-year-old kid that's running around the playground, with a toy blaster. In some cases you're Eric and you're bawling your eyes out. I mean, it's everybody has their own thing.
Right.
I just, you know what? I mean, I've been married 19 years, going on 20 years. And if I got to tell you, if my wife thought that I shed more tears over Star Wars than in our whole relationship, it'd be a cold house.
Well, it's funny because she's definitely not the emotional one, so we really do balance each other in that regard. Like she will. Occasionally she can get emotional, but she holds it in to the point of she'll give herself a headache on occasion. I'm like, sweetie, just let it go. But and I'm sure like when the time comes and she's walking down the aisle or whatever, I will be crying. I would be very surprised if I wasn't.
Can we get a reaction video of when you see Mary, coming down the aisle?
Well, ideally, I don't know if we'll actually do this. And I know this is such a YouTube thing, but I mean, because we do a lot of live streams and we have a lot of people that like to hang out in our live streams. We'll probably actually live stream our wedding. Not one of those like cash grab, like you've got to pay to see it kind of things. But, some of the people we know on stream, like even though we don't know them in real life, they've become legitimate friends. So it's like, we'll let people in on that.
Oh, man, that should be pay-per-view. I think Stern would get behind that. I think Stern and Robin might show up to your wedding.
Howard could officiate it.
I'm not sure. I mean, I really enjoy listening to them, but I'm not sure I'd want that negativity in that, day.
Sure. Yeah,
they're not the happiest people.
Well, I mean, I've been listening to him forever, and he's always been a miserable guy. But I actually think he was pretty easy on you.
Yeah, if anything, I've said that I was a little disappointed because I'm like, well, he went for like the really old cliche things of nerd, which I embrace that fully. And then the whole virgin thing. And it's like, I mean, really? I mean, is that even really an insult to people anymore? And I'm the kind of guy that'll tell you everything about everything. And at the same time, I will respect that Mary would prefer I don't tell everything about, certain aspects of our lives. There are things that I've wanted to say to people sometimes. I was like, okay, no, I'm not allowed to talk about how great a day that was. We'll just leave it at that.
Well, let's talk about the fact that you are a meme. Now we're actually talking to a meme. Absolutely. And with that does come like some real hate sometimes. And I saw the comments on your YouTube channel, and a lot of them crack me up, but some of them I think may cross the line just a little bit too much. Where do you stand on all that?
I agree. And again, I'm all for free expression, but some of the stuff, I mean, like I learned a lot of words to put in my spam filter. So some of the really horrible stuff doesn't even come through anymore. And I did get like one legitimate death threat, but not legitimate enough to actually take it seriously. And then plenty of people that want to talk, all the stuff about wanting to bash my face in with a hammer or, all this kind of stuff. It's like, because I'm happy for 10 minutes of my life in a video. Because that's the other thing too. Everybody watches this, if they even watch the whole 10 minutes, most of them don't. They skip over, just watch the reaction, don't get any context. But it's like, you can't judge anybody based on that 10 minutes. And yeah, I know I'm cringy. Cringe is my comedy. I love dad jokes. You know what I mean? So I don't mind that.
Cringe is my comedy.
Yeah, I mean, that's like if you watch our live streams or whatever, I just say whatever comes out of my mouth and I hope it lands. And then sometimes it's funny, even when I find the humor in when the jokes don't land even. So, that's kind of the style I'm all about. So I get it because I watch it and I'm like, yeah, that's cringy, but I enjoy watching cringy things. It makes me laugh.
I feel like you got like an Andy Kaufman thing going on with you. Like, I feel like we're part of your joke.
Well, I mean, I figure it is my world. Everybody else just living in it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I definitely have an ego, and I come from like a punk rock background, so I'm like, I really, I have a don't give an F mentality about a lot of stuff. I'm just
see, that's the interesting thing about you. You're not a one-trick pony, and that's something I've noticed about you. I've heard some of your music, and it's pretty damn good. It rocks.
Well,
and so, I mean, a lot of people were laughing because last week I said, and it wasn't directed necessarily toward you, but you were definitely under the umbrella here when I said, "Man up, sissy pants." And I'll tell you what, I listened to some of your music, Eric, and it's got balls. It's got balls. And so, that's you're more than just some guy who stares at nerdy stuff and weeps profusely over it.
That's true. And something I don't actually tell enough, probably I should remind people of this, because I used to say it all the time and I don't anymore, is when I started doing YouTube, my whole intention, and this is why it was around like movies and nerd culture and all that, was I was going to try to build an audience so that when I made my next film or put out another record, I would already have an audience there to kind of promote that to. Mm-hmm. And then YouTube became the job, and then I don't really have the time to make the thing. So it all kind of turned around. Then I'm often trying to scale the YouTube back, and then something like this happens, and it's like, well, take advantage of the ride while you have it, And so the plans are always changing, but I mean, that's kind of where I initially came to YouTube from. And a lot of that was, I wanted to get something going so we could finally get moving in together, which we're finally working that out. Finally,
good for you guys.
Land and get our house
she likes
built,
green.
Well, I'm building. The living room. To save. I've been living with my dad for a little while since my mom passed, especially because he's my best bud. Like we go out and have drinks and fine dinners and all this, and he gets to pay for it. I've owned the living room of the house. It is our TV studio now. So. But yeah, that's one of the things I'm excited is to actually build a space.
Congratulations on the engagement. When did that happen?
Absolutely.
Well, the first time, and there's a geeky story here that I don't know if you've heard, apparently, was April 1st, 2016. Yeah, that sounds right. And it was also funny that it was on April 1st because we were at one of the resorts for our birthday, and we had talked about getting engaged the night before. And then we woke up April 1st, we realized, oh, today's April 1st. It's probably a good thing we didn't get engaged, because if we had told everybody, they would have thought it was an April Fool's joke. So then that got stuck in my head.
Okay.
And then I was like, I am going to propose. And I did. And of course, that night we had a few drinks, so we were kind of drunk. And of course, she said yes. But the best part was we got to tell everybody the next day that we won't tell anybody till tomorrow. And that way we can always claim it was an April Fool's joke if we change our mind. But it wasn't.
No, it's the perfect safety net, isn't it?
Right. But luckily we didn't change our minds. And that was the first of so far 5 proposals she said yes to, because we are big Marvel nerds as well. And since she's not the kind of girl that likes super expensive diamonds, she prefers colorful gems, which are a little bit less expensive. And I'm a romantic who loves proposing and all that. We've been building her an infinity gauntlet of engagement rings. So every time we go to one of these resorts, she gets another proposal, and we're about to maybe get that sixth one in Jamaica. So at the end of the year, so.
That's amazing.
That's
well, congratulations.
Very
cool. Hey, listen, before we let you go, we want to get to know you as a Star Wars fan because you're obviously one of those, and that I don't think is an act at all.
No,
and you know, and
I found the Mandalorian Black Series figure today. Woohoo!
Which one?
You're a collector.
The Mandalorian Black Series figure. I actually found in the store today. So
great in the wild. That's nice. It's always special to find them in the wild as opposed to mail order. You know.
Exactly, because I almost paid like double to get them off Amazon yesterday, and I'm glad I did.
Oh, that's great.
So we have a series of questions we like to ask all Star Wars fans, and it's the Yoda Questionnaire. Jason, why do we call it the Yoda Questionnaire?
Well, we call it the Yoda Questionnaire because long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Jedi Master Yoda set out on a quest to create the ultimate quiz, the ultimate list of questions that would best illustrate one's fandom, one's connection to the living force.
Right.
And
he only emailed this list to Rebel Force Radio.
It's an exclusive. We found it in the scrolls before they lit fire and then ended up in Rey's knapsack or whatever it was. So we've got it. And so I've got the questions right here. So I would love to ask you, Eric, starting with the first one. Who or what is your favorite Star Wars character?
Okay. Up until the sequel trilogy, it's going to be Yoda because of his philosophies and just his playfulness and the way he likes to, you know, make people think he's one thing when he's really another, and it's all part of how he's teaching you while learning at the same time. But I do think for me, Kylo Ren has honestly become the most fascinating character just because he, you know, I mean, he is, like I said he was always more frightening to me than Vader because Vader you almost feel like you could maybe reason with, or at least like cut a deal to turn somebody in. But like Kylo is like that entitled like internet troll that you never know when they're just going to snap and you're done, you know, and I find that infinitely fascinating. Plus the fact that he comes from the broken family of the Solos and, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So I really am leaning a lot more towards Kylo these days, but Yoda if old school.
Okay. All right. So Yoda has been toppled from his seat as your favorite character by Kylo Ren. All right, that's given us
Eric, do you like the prequel trilogy?
Yes, and I liked them back in the day. I did, you know, and I was probably more of a defender in the back in the day. And now I and even the original trilogy, they're flawed. I don't look at those as perfect movies. I just think they hit me perfectly. But I do, and I've even changed my tune because I recently did a fan commentary for Phantom Menace, and that used to be my least favorite. But I realized some of the dialogue and clones has really got to be at the bottom of the list, and Phantom Menace just keeps getting better and better. I think that's aging incredibly well. And I still love all the action in Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith, I think, is just pretty phenomenal all the way through. So, plus Ewan McGregor is just great.
Pretty good answer. Yeah. You're wrong, though. The original trilogy is flawless. Don't ever forget.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Everybody gets their own opinion, and they're equally wrong and right. So go right for it.
All right, I got another question. By the way, the prequel question was not part of the Yoda questionnaire. Just so you know, Yoda's not aware of what era he's from. You know,
time matters not.
Right
there, you go.
Trilogies matter not.
All right. So, question number 2: who or what is your least favorite Star Wars character?
Ooh.
Least favorite.
Ooh. Oh man,
This is going to tell us a lot. This is
I don't focus on the negative things so much that I've not given a lot of thought to it. Wow, I mean, like instinctually, I wanted to go to like I wanted to go to maybe one of the Nemoidians. You know, like that was instinctually.
What did you say? Okay. What did you say? What did you say?
But they are memorable, so it's kind of hard to throw down on them. Oh man, least favorite.
The Moidians.
Oh man!
I mean, there's really not much redeemable about Newt Gunray.
Right. I mean, and that's specifically the one that was popping in my brain. But
how is he anyone's favorite character?
No,
other than the guy who played him.
He wears those caftans and stuff. Not very action oriented. You know?
There you go.
But you walk around looking like a curtain.
I think I got an answer. I mean, it's kind of more of the jokey answer because I think legitimately it's probably Newt Gunray. But how about the Cantina bar owner in A New Hope, because he's a droidist SOB for kicking
Wooer?
Theo out.
Well, but see, you got to understand where Wooer's coming from, Eric. He was growing up in the days of the Clone Wars when the droids, the clankers, were coming in and invading and ripping people out of their communities and their towns and taking over. You try not being a droidist growing up in the Clone Wars.
You know what? That's a very valid point. I'll withdraw that. And you know what? Now I'll go with, how about Wat Tambor? Because separatist and banking.
Okay,
am I thinking?
Right.
I'm terrible with some of the smaller names, so right?
Yeah, but you pulled that one right out. That's good. That's good.
Wat Tambor.
We've never heard that before on the Yoda Questionnaire.
No. I've always kind of liked Wat because he's so weird and he made those weird sounds.
His voice is pretty good.
Yeah. We know a guy who sounds like that in real life.
It's Newt Gunray. Let's just stay there. That's
okay, we're going to go with Gunray. Okay,
that's actually a good choice, Newt Gunray. He's despicable.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. All right, I've got another one for you. So what Star Wars scene always makes you smile or makes you laugh?
Oh God, we're asking Eric about an emotional.
Well, wait till the next question. Wait till the next question.
Oh man! All right, I'm trying to run them through my head.
You've seen these movies a million times. What's the one scene that always makes you either laugh out loud or makes you smile
in a profound way?
Yeah.
Not
when the cameras are pointed at you.
No, I got you. It's got to be Luke in Jedi during the plan to defeat Jabba. As soon as that lightsaber hits his hand and he ignites it, the music's swelling up and everything. That particular music cue has always been a favorite of mine. I think that moment, and which is also why the first trailer for Rise of Skywalker went viral, when Mark Hamill actually tweeted me a message, he sent me the GIF of Skywalker giving the salute, and I was like, oh, okay, life made. But yeah, the moment he ignites that green saber, which I love green sabers, and there needs to be more green sabers in the sequel trilogy. But that's the moment for me that just every time, I just get hyped.
All right.
Is Return of the Jedi your favorite original trilogy film?
Again, not part of the questionnaire, but
no.
Okay. No, Empire is easily my favorite of the original trilogy. Though I really like Return of the Jedi, but yeah, Empire. And Empire. Often, it depends on the day, but my favorite Star Wars ever is either Empire or actually The Last Jedi. I just adore that Last Jedi movie.
Well, it's nice talking to you, Eric. We'll see it.
I know, right? Sorry for how much you're probably going to get to now. Sorry,
Eric, so you said you were 40?
Yes.
And so by that time, Star Wars had come and gone. And by the time you were a kid. So do you recall the first time you actually saw the original trilogy?
Not specifically the first time, because again, my parents they gave me a movie education like from the days I was born. They took me to see Alien when I was 6 months old, and everybody was looking like, oh God, they're bringing a baby to this Y. But the way they tell the story, I stayed awake and just transfixed at the screen the entire time, which does make a lot of sense on a lot of things about me.
It sort of explains what makes you an emotional basket case in 2019.
And then, but my earliest childhood memory is of Empire Strikes Back. I think I was probably about 5 at the time. I also have some memories of when Return of the Jedi came out. I'm imagining that was the first one I saw in the theater if they didn't take me to Empire. But I remember there was displays at the mall and you go take pictures with cutouts and all this stuff. But my earliest childhood memory is probably about 4 or 5, and I was sick with the flu, and I had McDonald's French fries, and I was on the carpet of my parents' basement watching Empire and really getting grossed out when Han spills the Tauntaun guts. That is the earliest memory in my life I have.
That's real gross.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen a reaction video of you as a kid watching that for the first time. And hurling on the carpet.
It looks like this right here. This is what it looks like.
Just less glasses, a little thinner in the face, probably. The birthmark wasn't in the same point at that point.
I like the idea that every time you're on a video, it changes position.
Yeah.
Like you should really screw with people.
Eric, there was some rumor that you sit in the movie theater and react the same way you do to the trailers, and you would really piss off the people sitting around you. And some people were saying that that wasn't actually a birthmark, but it was a scar from somebody putting their cigarette out on your face for making so much noise in the theater. That's not true, though. That's a lie, right?
No. Yeah, no, that joke pops up fairly frequently, or some version of it. Which is the other thing, by the way, trolls. I don't mind trolling, but can you please be a little more creative? Like the same thing over and over. Like, come on.
Come up with something original for crying out loud.
Like, not to sidetrack too much, but my favorite troll thing I ever saw was somebody took my reaction to when I was reacting to the Joker trailer and put me reacting to Star Wars in there. So I'm reacting to me reacting to Star Wars, and they cut it beautifully to even the point where I'm talking, of course, about the character of the Joker, like, oh, we're going to watch his descent into madness. And it's like, I'm saying that about me.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Like, that's creative.
That's
More
good.
of that, please.
That's good. That passes.
But all you trolls and haters, come up with some original stuff. I mean, the guy grew up with the last name Butts, for crying out loud. He's heard it all.
Yeah. That is my real name. I know I get asked that.
But you know what, though? This is the thing, though. That's the kind of thing that makes somebody stronger, right? I mean that really is. I mean, you have to have. You know, I grew up with swanky, swanker, swankster, all that stuff. And I mean, it's nothing like Butts, but the fact is that it does make you tougher and stronger and gives you, I think, a more profound sense of humor about yourself. I mean, there's different ways you could go. You could become bitter and resentful, or you could become like Eric and joyful and you know, as Jimmy says, you know, a complete emotional wreck.
Well, I'm not afraid of my emotions. That's how I like to put it. Right. But yeah, no.
Sorry, wear them on your
emotions.
Sleeve,
we just have a couple more questions here.
Okay.
So we've covered what makes you smile. What about what makes you sad? What Star Wars moment always just hits you right in that reacting to a trailer spot?
Obi-Wan's lines to Anakin on Mustafar. You were the chosen one, Anakin. You were supposed to save the Jedi, not destroy them. You are my brother, Anakin. That line particularly, that is the nail. When he gets to you are my brother, Anakin. Yeah, that just destroys me. And they did that reimagined Obi-Wan Vader fight, and they used that dialogue in that fan film, and I have a reaction to that. And you can see me reacting to that particular line. Yeah, that moment every time. And I think that's mostly because of Ewan McGregor. But yeah.
All right. Last question.
I don't even have to see the scene. I can just hear that speech, and it'll get me. So.
Oh yeah, I mean that was part of the Obi-Wan warm-up. We interviewed James Arnold Taylor many times, and he had a track on his iPod of all of the Ewan lines from the prequels, and that was one of it because he had to do that kind of Anakin voice or Obi-Wan voice.
That's awesome.
There were two shades, you know. There was that one, and then there was that one. All right, last question. All right, Eric.
All right.
Let's say that it turns out that this is not the end of the Skywalker saga. There's yet another film to be made.
Okay.
And it's going to be directed by none other than the maker himself, George Lucas.
Keep it together, Eric. Keep it together. Okay.
And George was scouring YouTube, and he came across your video. He said, "That's him. That's who he wants in his movie." So there you are. You're in the movie. George Lucas is directing. What would you like to hear the notorious GL say to you as right after he says cut on your final scene?
Let's do another one. Faster and more intense.
There you go. Let's do another. Yeah, more tears. Can we get more tears?
Impossible. Well, I'll tell you what, Eric. It's been a pleasure to get to know you, and
thank you guys. It's been fun.
And you know, just keep being you and keep doing what you do. And
I will, and I'll still be for all the other Star Wars trailers. And for some reason, The Mandalorian is just getting me hyped. It's not getting me emotional, but I'm sure eventually there'll be another Star Wars trailer that'll get me going real good. So
well, I'll tell you what, I'd love to check back in with you after the film comes out and hear what you think about it. Hear and know what hit you in those emotional response areas of yours that are so sensitive.
Yeah, I'm so ready. I've already got 3 screenings booked. Thursday,
and
Friday,
I got to tell you, I hope the film can make me emote even a tiny fraction of what you do in your videos. You know, I want that connection. I have that connection to Star Wars on a whole, but it doesn't elicit that kind of reaction from me. Now, I surprised myself at the Marvel film Endgame when Tony Stark died, and Iron Man passed on, and I felt a single tear roll down my cheek. So
Pretty sure
not
Mary
just
cried at that.
it's not just ice running through my veins,
Right.
and I, believe me, am not never considered myself to be connected to Marvel films in a way that I am connected to Star Wars films. So if done right, we should all be blubbering basket cases by the time the credits roll.
Hopefully.
And you'll be the only, ironically, you'll be the only one keeping it together in the theater.
Right,
Everyone will
so
be weeping, and you'll just be like, what?
I mean, I hope not. I hope I'm feeling the emotions of it. I imagine I will too, because I have a tip for people. Because this is one of the things that really helps me enjoy all these things and enjoy most movies is just try to let go of all your expectations. It's fun to have all these fan theories and everybody like thinking maybe this will happen, that'll happen. I do a little bunch of that too, but before I go, just get rid of it all. Just let the movie be what the movie's going to be and go on the journey and see where it takes you. So
enjoy the Star Wars that is and not the Star Wars that isn't.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people, I think that's where their disappointment and some of the new stuff is coming from, is they were expecting it to be this whole other thing and not giving it a chance to be what it is, which is for a new generation. And we should be happy we get the OG characters at all, honestly, is how I feel. And I am obviously happy. So
good. And how do people find you and get to see all of your hysterical videos?
So pretty much anywhere you want to find me, you're going to find me as the Eric Butts, one word. So YouTube definitely is a big thing. Trailer reactions every day at 10. There's other videos from Let's Plays to movie reviews and unboxing things. Mary's always in unboxings on Mondays, and Tuesdays we do Dragon Ball toys and stuff like that. Patreon, there's a lot of free content there. My Phantom Menace fan commentary is free, the Eric Butts. I do a lot on Twitter. Those are the main places. You can also find, if you want my food photography, you can go over to Instagram, although I don't do as much right now because it was making me fat.
Well, it's been a pleasure to get to know you and talk to you. And
you guys too. Thanks for having me on. And next time, if you do the costume, glasses. You missed the glasses.
You know what? I wear glasses, but mine are so unlike yours that I thought they would be. But yeah. Anyway, well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having a great sense of humor, being a good sport, and a great Star Wars fan. That's really what matters. So we appreciate
thank you
it.
very much. Thank you so much, guys. May the force be with you.
And you. All right. And congratulations again on the engagement. You have a great life together.
I imagine.
And just remember, when you get that new house, it's way cheaper to furnish when you have nothing but green screen.
That's true. Just change it up all the time.
You'd be
amazed how many green screens there are set up in this house right now. It's nuts. But
all right, brother. Take care.
All right. Have a great day, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.